The Galactic Council was the most powerful force in the universe, ruling over hundreds of species. They decided who would thrive and who would suffer. For centuries, they had looked down on humanity, treating them as weak, insignificant creatures. The Council believed humans had no real power, no advanced fleets, no mighty weapons. To them, Earth was nothing more than a primitive world struggling to survive among superior species. When humanity joined the Council, they hoped for peace and unity. They wanted to explore the stars, trade with other civilizations, and share knowledge. But the Council never saw them as equals. The other species mocked humans, calling them soft and unfit for war. The Council refused to give them important technology, refused to grant them strong allies, and treated them like second-class citizens. Then came the final betrayal. A dispute broke out between humanity and a powerful alien race called the Zelfar, one of the Council's elite warrior species. The humans had colonized a few small planets near Zelfar space, and the aliens saw this as an insult. The humans followed all the Council's laws, but it didn't matter. The Zelfar demanded those planets, claiming humans had no right to them. Earth refused to surrender its colonies, believing in the right to defend their people. The Council made its decision. Without warning, a massive fleet of Council warships appeared over the human colonies. They didn't negotiate. They didn't send warnings. They simply attacked. The first colony, New Terra, never stood a chance. Council ships bombarded it from orbit, reducing cities to rubble. Millions of humans screamed as plasma fire rained from the sky. Entire families were wiped out in seconds. Those who tried to escape were hunted down. The second colony, Horizon 5, put up a fight. The humans had a small defense force, but their outdated ships were no match for the Council's advanced warships. Fighters launched from the planet, hoping to hold the enemy back, but they were cut down one by one. The planetary shields failed within minutes. The slaughter began. Earth's leaders sent desperate messages to the Council, pleading for a ceasefire. They begged for peace. They promised to leave the colonies if necessary. But the Council didn't listen. The Council laughed. They broadcasted messages across the galaxy, mocking humanity's weakness. The Council leaders declared that Earth had overstepped its place and needed to be put down like an unruly animal. The destruction of the human colonies would be a lesson to any other lesser species who dared to challenge them. The humans on Earth watched in horror as their people were slaughtered. Fathers and mothers saw their children burned alive. Soldiers who had fought bravely were executed in public broadcasts. The Council wanted to break humanity's spirit, to make them beg for mercy. But they made a mistake. They thought humanity would surrender. They thought Earth had no strength left. They forgot the old stories. Deep beneath the surface of Earth, hidden away for centuries, lay a secret so ancient, so powerful, that even humanity itself had almost forgotten. The Lost Fleet. Once, long ago, before the Council ever knew of Earth, humanity had built something terrifying. A fleet of warships so advanced, so deadly, that they could rival even the strongest empires. But after an ancient war, those ships had been locked away. Their power was too dangerous. Their technology was too advanced. Humanity had chosen peace, sealing away the fleet, believing they would never need it again. Now, as the ashes of their people floated through space, Earth's leaders made a decision. The Council wanted war. Then war they would have. It was time to awaken the lost fleet. The underground chamber was silent, untouched for centuries. Dust floated in the air, disturbed only by the soft hum of ancient machines still running in the darkness. The walls, carved from reinforced alloy, held the weight of history, secrets long buried beneath the surface of Earth. Then, for the first time in hundreds of years, the silence broke. A deep mechanical rumble shook the facility as the massive doors, sealed since humanity's golden age of war, slowly unlocked. Warning lights flickered to life, casting eerie red glows across the chamber. Hidden power cores, once thought dead, hummed as they reawakened, feeding energy into the forgotten war machines. Inside the control room, Supreme Commander Elias Voss watched as data streamed across the screens. His face was grim, his fists clenched. He had always believed in peace. He had hoped that Earth would never need to use these ships again. But the Council had forced their hand. "Status report," Voss commanded. A technician, barely able to contain his shock, responded. "Sir, the fleet is intact. Power systems are stabilizing. These ships are beyond anything we've ever built." He swallowed hard. They were designed for a war we never wanted. Voss nodded. He had read the history files. Centuries ago, when humanity first reached the stars, they had encountered dangers far greater than the Council. Wars had been fought against terrifying alien empires, threats that nearly wiped them out. In response, Earth's greatest minds created something unmatched, a fleet of warships built to survive anything, equipped with technology so powerful that even humanity itself feared it. When those wars ended, Earth had made a choice. The fleet was too dangerous. The ships were locked away, hidden beneath the surface, their weapons never to be used again. Until now. Voss turned to his officers. "How many ships do we have?" The chief engineer, a woman named Dr. Helena Cade, pulled up the numbers. "Sir, 200 Titan-class warships, over 1,000 smaller attack cruisers, all equipped with pre-Council weaponry, plasma cannons, hyper-accelerator missiles, experimental railguns." She hesitated, then added, "Sir, these ships, they were built without limits. There were no treaties, no rules. They were made to win at all costs." Voss exhaled slowly. No wonder the old world sealed them away. Another officer spoke up, urgency in his voice. "Sir, we have a problem. The Galactic Council won't wait for us to strike first. They think we're weak. They'll bring their full fleet to Earth soon, and we don't have time to deploy all ships." Voss narrowed his eyes. "Then we deploy enough." The ancient ships had slept for too long. Now they would awaken as monsters of war. "Prepare the first wave," he ordered. "We take the fight to them. Now." Across the chamber, the great warships stirred. Their engines roared as they came to life, breaking free from centuries of silence. Deep within the command cores, battle AI systems reactivated, recognizing that war had come again. The ship's hulls, reinforced with materials even the Council had never seen, gleamed under the artificial light. Then, one by one, they began to rise. Massive doors opened in the Earth's crust, revealing launch tunnels that stretched into the sky. The ground trembled as the first warships ascended, emerging into the blackness of space. They were old, but they were far from obsolete. They were unstoppable. And now, for the first time in history, they would show the Council what it truly meant to fear humanity. The first wave of Earth's ancient fleet rose into the void, their dark hulls reflecting the distant light of the stars. Engines that had remained dormant for centuries now roared to life, sending vibrations through space itself. The ships, once thought lost to history, were no longer relics. They were weapons, awakened for a single purpose: vengeance. Supreme Commander Elias Voss stood on the bridge of the Hades, one of the largest Titan-class warships. The command deck was unlike anything modern humans had seen, filled with controls designed for war, systems that had been locked away for generations. Holographic displays flickered to life, showing the battlefield ahead. "Status report," Voss ordered. Dr. Helena Cade, overseeing the fleet's deployment, responded. "The first wave is fully operational. 50 Titan-class warships, 200 smaller cruisers. Our weapons are online, shields at full capacity." "And the enemy?" Voss asked, eyes sharp. A tactical officer turned to him. "Sir, the Galactic Council fleet is already moving toward Earth." Voss's jaw tightened. The Council wasn't waiting. They were bringing their full force now, hoping to finish the job. He turned toward the main screen, where the enemy fleet was now visible. Hundreds of sleek, silver warships stretched across the void, their formations perfect. These were the Council's finest, armed with the latest technology, piloted by experienced commanders who had never known defeat. They believed this battle would be easy. They were wrong. Voss activated the fleet-wide communications channel. His voice echoed across every warship. Today, the Galactic Council thinks they are here to end humanity. They believe we are weak, that we will kneel. But they have forgotten what we are. They have forgotten what we once built. He paused, letting the weight of his words sink in. We will remind them. The fleet acknowledged with a single, unified response. For Earth. Then the battle began. The Council's ships moved in, expecting an easy victory. Their weapons fired first, sending waves of plasma blasts toward the human fleet. But something terrifying happened. The ancient human warships didn't break formation. They didn't evade. Instead, their shields absorbed the incoming fire without flinching. The Council's commanders hesitated. This wasn't normal. No species had ever withstood their first strike without damage. Then came humanity's response. The Hades fired its main cannon, a weapon designed before the Council's technology even existed. A massive plasma railgun charged up, its energy core glowing bright blue. In one devastating shot, it fired straight through space. The enemy flagship exploded instantly. One shot, one kill. The Galactic Council fleet panicked. They had fought countless battles before, but never against anything like this. Their ships tried to adjust, to retreat into new formations. But the ancient human fleet was faster. Smaller attack cruisers broke off from the main formation, moving with inhuman precision. Their weapons fired in coordinated strikes, cutting through enemy ships like knives through paper. The Council's warships, built for superiority over weaker species, weren't prepared for this level of destruction. One by one, the Council's mighty warships fell. Explosions lit up the void, wreckage scattered across the battlefield. The Council's forces were breaking. Their commanders sent frantic distress signals, calling for reinforcements. But it was too late. Humanity's ancient fleet had returned, and the war had only just begun. The battlefield was a graveyard of shattered warships. Wreckage drifted through the void, the remains of the once mighty Galactic Council fleet. Fires burned in the vacuum of space, explosions still erupting from broken hulls. The Council's commanders had underestimated humanity, and now they were paying the price. But the battle was not over. Supreme Commander Elias Voss stood on the bridge of the Hades, watching as the few remaining enemy ships desperately tried to regroup. He could hear the panic in their transmissions. The Council's forces had never faced anything like this. They had spent centuries believing they were untouchable, that humanity was weak. Now, their arrogance was crumbling. Dr. Helena Cade turned from her console, her expression grim. "Sir, enemy reinforcements are inbound. 3 Council fleets are converging on our position." Voss exhaled slowly. He had expected this. The Council would never accept defeat so easily. Numbers. "Over 1,000 warships, multiple dreadnoughts," she replied. "Their reinforcements outnumber us 5-1. A lesser commander might have felt fear, but Voss had seen the power of their ancient fleet. He knew what these warships were capable of. "Good," he said, his voice calm. "Let them come." The remaining human warships adjusted their formations, preparing for the next phase of the battle. They were ready. The enemy fleet arrived in waves, their silver hulls reflecting the distant stars. The Council had brought everything they had: elite squadrons, heavy bombardment ships, even experimental fighters designed for rapid strikes. Their strategy was clear: overwhelm humanity with sheer numbers. They didn't realize that numbers wouldn't save them. The Council's dreadnoughts opened fire first, unleashing a storm of energy blasts and missile barrages. The space between the fleets turned into a battlefield of light and fire. The human warships did not retreat. The Hades and its sister ships activated their ancient defenses, adaptive energy shields, a lost technology that could adjust to any incoming attack. Council weapons that should have shattered their hulls were instead absorbed like water hitting stone. Then, humanity struck back. The ancient fleet moved as one, their weapons charging with a deadly blue glow. Hyper-accelerator railguns fired at speeds the enemy couldn't react to. Experimental fusion torpedoes locked onto enemy dreadnoughts and tore them apart from the inside. The Council's ships vanished in blinding explosions. The battle that should have been a one-sided slaughter was turning into something else. It was a massacre. Enemy captains panicked. Their commanders screamed orders, trying to adjust, trying to retreat. They couldn't believe what was happening. "This isn't possible," one alien admiral shouted over intercepted communications. "These humans shouldn't have this power." But they did. And they weren't stopping. The human fleet pushed forward, overwhelming the enemy on every front. Small, agile attack cruisers cut through enemy formations, weaving between the larger warships and ripping them apart with precision strikes. Titan-class warships unleashed their full firepower, turning dreadnoughts into burning wrecks. The Council's forces, once confident in their absolute dominance, were now scattering like insects. Then, a single transmission came through from the enemy's remaining command ship. It was a desperate call, a final attempt at negotiation. "Human forces, this is Supreme Commander Vartek of the Galactic Council's Defense Fleet. We request an immediate ceasefire. We are willing to discuss terms." Silence fell on the Hades' bridge. The officers exchanged glances. Voss let the words hang in the air before responding. "There will be no ceasefire," he said coldly. "Not after what you did to us." He gave the order. And the ancient fleet continued its attack. One by one, the last Council warships fell. The battle was over. And now, it was humanity's turn to strike back. The battlefield was silent now, but the war was far from over. Wreckage from the Galactic Council's once mighty fleet drifted through space, broken and burning. The survivors had either fled or had been wiped out, leaving only the victorious human warships standing in the void. The ancient fleet, long buried and forgotten, had returned, and the galaxy would never be the same. On the bridge of the Hades, Supreme Commander Elias Voss stood motionless, staring at the remains of the enemy fleet. The battle had been decisive, but he knew this was only the beginning. "The Council will not forget this," Dr. Helena Cade said, watching tactical readouts. "We've humiliated them. They won't stop. They'll come back with everything they have." "They already tried that," Voss replied, his voice calm. "And we broke them." But he knew she was right. The Galactic Council would never allow such a defeat to go unanswered. Humanity had done the impossible, but now they were at war with the entire galaxy. A transmission alert blinked on the main display. It was an incoming signal. From Earth. Voss took a deep breath before answering. The image of President Alexandra Graves appeared on screen. Her face was calm, but her eyes were sharp. She had expected this day to come. "Commander Voss," she said, "you and your fleet have done something no one thought possible. You've struck at the heart of the Council's power." "We had no choice," Voss said. "They came for us first. We just finished the fight." President Graves nodded. "The people of Earth stand behind you, but the Council will not stop. Our intelligence reports suggest that they are already rallying their remaining forces. We must act before they recover." Voss understood what she meant. The battle was won, but the war wasn't over. "We take the fight to them," he said. Graves's expression didn't change. "Do you believe we have the strength for that?" Voss turned to his tactical officer. "Show me the status of the fleet." A holographic display appeared, showing the full strength of humanity's ancient armada. Even after the battle, it was still terrifying. 47 Titan-class warships remained, each capable of leveling a planet. Over 180 smaller cruisers and destroyers were still operational. Experimental weapons systems, technology thought lost, had been reactivated. And that was only the beginning. "There are more," Voss said. "The Council never knew about our deep storage facilities. We still have fleets buried beneath Europa, under the ice of Enceladus, hidden in the asteroid belt. Dr. Cade nodded. We estimate that if we activate the remaining warships, we could double our numbers in a matter of weeks. Graves exhaled, understanding the power they now held. Then it's time. We won't wait for them to attack us again. We strike first. The officers on the Hades listened in silence. They all understood what this meant. This was not just a battle anymore. This was a war for survival. Voss turned back to the holographic display. His eyes locked onto a single target, the Galactic Council's homeworld. It was the center of their power, the place where they had ordered the death of innocent humans. It was time for humanity to return the favor. Set course, he commanded. We're going to burn their empire to the ground. The human fleet moved like a storm, cutting through the void of space as it approached the heart of the Galactic Council's power. Their homeworld, Prime Nexus, a planet of towering spires, golden cities, and defensive stations built over thousands of years to ensure no enemy could ever reach it. But the Council had never prepared for this. The fleet of ancient warships, long buried beneath the ice, hidden in the dark corners of the solar system, had awakened. Their weapons, far beyond anything the galaxy had ever seen, hummed with deadly energy. On the bridge of the Hades, Supreme Commander Elias Voss watched as the target grew larger on the view screen. The enemy had been given time to prepare, but it wouldn't matter. Nothing would stop humanity now. Dr. Helena Cade studied the tactical readouts. They have over 3,000 warships defending Prime Nexus, she reported. Orbital platforms, planetary shields, and automated defense grids. Voss nodded. He had expected this. Are the stealth scouts in position? He asked. Affirmative, Cade confirmed. They're already inside enemy territory, feeding us real-time data. The Council believed they were prepared. They had fortified their fleets, activated every defense system, and stationed their most elite warriors around their capital. But they were making the same mistake. They still thought of humans as a species that followed the old rules. They were wrong. Voss turned to his fleet officers. Initiate Phase 1. Across the battlefield, hidden human ships revealed themselves, emerging from behind moons and asteroid fields. They were already inside the enemy's defenses. The first explosions ripped through the Council's orbital stations. Strategic strikes targeted shield generators, weapons platforms, and key supply hubs. Before the defenders could react, their strongest defenses were already crumbling. Panic spread through the enemy ranks. We're under attack. How did they get past our perimeter? This isn't possible. The humans. Their transmissions cut off as more explosions lit up the darkness of space. The human fleet pressed forward, advancing like a tidal wave. Railguns fired at impossible speeds, torpedoes punched through enemy warships, and energy weapons that had been forgotten for centuries now roared to life. The Council's grand defense was breaking. On Prime Nexus, the rulers of the Galactic Council gathered in their high chamber, staring at the disaster unfolding above their skies. They are monsters, one of them whispered. We should have wiped them out when we had the chance. But we did try, another answered. His voice trembled. And now they've come for us. Down on the planet, air raid sirens screamed as civilians ran for shelter. They had never known fear before. The Galactic Council had always been the rulers of the galaxy. They had crushed countless species, erased civilizations, and enslaved entire worlds. They thought they were untouchable. Now, they were the ones running. Back in orbit, Supreme Commander Voss watched as the final phase of the attack began. He opened a channel to the Council's command center. This is Elias Voss of the Terran Ascendancy. His voice was cold. You took everything from us. Now, we return the favor. The last of the enemy's warships fell. The final defensive platforms collapsed in fire. And now, Prime Nexus was defenseless. Voss turned to his officers. Prepare for planetary bombardment. The skies above Prime Nexus burned. The once mighty fleets of the Galactic Council lay in ruins, their shattered hulls drifting in the cold darkness of space. The planet, once the unchallenged heart of galactic power, was now defenseless. On the bridge of the Hades, Supreme Commander Elias Voss watched the holographic display. The final battle was over. Humanity had won. All enemy warships are neutralized, Dr. Helena Cade reported. Their planetary defenses are offline. They have no more weapons left. Voss nodded, his face unreadable. This moment had been centuries in the making. The Council had slaughtered humans, crushed their colonies, and erased their history. Now, they would face judgment. A transmission request appeared on the main screen. The Council was calling. Voss let them wait. He turned to his officers. Deploy ground forces. Secure the capital. No unnecessary destruction. We are here to end their rule, not wipe them out. The command was relayed instantly. Across the battlefield, dropships launched, descending toward the planet below. The streets of Prime Nexus, once filled with arrogant rulers, now echoed with the sound of human soldiers marching. Finally, Voss answered the Council's transmission. The image of Supreme Chancellor Varan appeared. The once proud leader of the galaxy now looked pale and broken. The sound of alarms echoed behind him. He was afraid. Commander Voss, Varan said, his voice shaking. There is no need for further violence. The Council surrenders. Voss leaned forward. His voice was calm, but merciless. You think surrender is enough? Varan swallowed hard. Please, we acted in fear. You slaughtered our children. Voss's voice was sharp. You burned our worlds. You erased our history and called it justice. He leaned closer, his eyes cold. You never imagined we would rise again. Varan trembled. We were wrong. The Council was wrong. Just tell us what you want. Voss didn't hesitate. I want the Galactic Council dissolved. Effective immediately. Every empire under your rule will be freed. Every world you enslaved will decide its own future. Varan's eyes widened. That would destroy our civilization. Your civilization deserves to fall, Voss replied. Silence. Varan's lips trembled, but he nodded. It will be done. The transmission cut out. The Council's reign was over. Dr. Cade exhaled, shaking her head. I can't believe it. Voss looked at the burning planet below. Believe it. For centuries, humanity had been hunted. Now, they stood at the top of the galaxy, and they were never going to fall again.